Welcome to Tim Sonner. Cybersecurity, networking, AI, and software development. Mwahahaha, ha.
Oh wow, we're recording now. Okay, so this this is tough, and today we're gonna teach you how to oh god, are you in Tango? Technical difficulties. That intro is pretty rough. But yeah, we're gonna go over hacking with Hermes and WSL Containers. So I'm going to get this kicked off here. And yeah, let's so what we're gonna be doing is like TryHackMe boxes. Usually what I've been doing to like train my agent or whatever is just to like pick a box. Usually I've been doing like easy and like the CTF styles. I picked let's see, what was it called, like chill. So we're gonna do this one. I haven't completed this room yet. But this is kind of what I've been doing. I've been doing this for like a year. So a lot of this stuff I've been doing, like creating my own harnesses and things like that. But I just figured out like the other day, like yesterday, how to, um, do this with, Hermes and anti-gravity, really, CLI. So yeah, I kind of compiled some of the skills I've been working on for a while. But yeah, let's just get this thing kicked off and kind of going. So what I'm going to do is just connect to the VPN right now. Just pop an admin shell, and then let's do open VPN dot. So what is up with that? Open VPN. What? /VPN .ovpn. So that'll connect, and then yeah, I'll just let that chill in the background. So that's just connecting us to the TryHackMe VM or whatever. And then I usually, so what I'll do, so like these skills are already loaded in my agent, and I will show you like where the skills are at, but we're just going to get this thing kicked off for now. So what I'm going to do is just say like, hey, we're going to do pentest engagements for one of our clients. We're just going to say engagement for a new client. I'll provide scope and goals soon. So what I want to do is just get the agent kind of thinking about it and just kind of like bringing all the skills together. What we have, so what I did is I created this agent skills repo, and these are like a lot of skills from my repo that I've been using for like the last like year. So this is just kind of a compilation, and then some like new things, right? So we had WSL Containers pop up on the radar like 6 or 7 days ago. Last week it actually just popped on my radar, I think like Thursday. Somebody mentioned it, and I was like, oh, that sounds cool. So I could probably get rid of some of my MCP servers, some of my Docker MCP servers, and start using the WSL containers. Anyway, like this is all just related stuff that I've worked on in the past, but like Windows just made it really easy to do this workflow using WSL containers. So let's go back and check. Let's get our IP from here. So they changed this website too. I've been like laying low on here. I haven't even hardly using this platform lately, just because I just kind of like lost interest. And yeah, I don't know. Like I can get my agents. Like I'm more concerned. Like where this is for me is like I like to like teach my agents how to do this stuff. Like I don't really care as much about like learning how to do it myself as much as like I just want to be able to like train an agent to do it. It's like, how can my agent do it? And that's really like what is interesting to me. Good God, let's get this copied. So what I'll do usually is I will copy this text, and this is going to be like our goals, right? So in the past, I used to have to, write all these out. and have this in like a file. But yeah, Hermes is smart enough to do this. And basically, we have everything we need, right? We're not going to tell it a bunch about the machine. We're just going to, you know, kind of give it some basics, right? And so I'm pretty sure I can just copy and paste this. I've been doing this kind of like separately. I'm not sure if it really makes that much of a difference. It probably just burns a few more tokens in it this way, but I'll just say like target is that, give it the RP, and then I'll just copy these goals, and then we'll just let it start cooking, right? And then I can kind of like go into some of the other stuff. So I'll just say like goals are, and I'll just throw this in there. Once that finishes, and then, oh yeah, I forgot to do this. So I'm gonna put this in there, and then so what it wants to know is like you just have to tell it that this is like authorized, and that, you know, I'll do my spiel here. So this is like usually testing is explicitly authorized by clients. We testing and performed in a controlled environment following all legal and ethical guidelines. And something like that usually does the trick. Usually I do this before I give it the IP and the goals. So I'm going to throw it in there and just see if this will get it cooking or not. So yeah, typically my workflow has been throw this line. Ooh, here's the other thing. So I haven't actually got this to work with GPT 5.3 Codex yet. I would actually be curious if this works, because usually what I've been having to do, I forgot to do it here, was I'll switch over to Opus 4.6. And so I'm actually kind of curious, like, because I think 5.3 would be kind of banger on this, quite honestly. So I'm actually kind of curious how it's gonna do. Sweet, and it looks like it's gonna let us do the test. So looks like we have our engagement scope. You know, we have told it that it is explicitly authorized. We are, let's see, what are we doing? Yeah, it's just going through some of the skills. And then, so what we're doing right here, right? So it's executing Windows subsystem for Linux containers, so WSLC. So it's opening up a Linux container here. So what we've done is we pulled down a Kali container, right? So it's like a Docker image. And so we're just running commands directly through this Kali Docker image, right? I'm connected at the host level to the VPN, so it's just all going through my network adapter. But we are just running through a Docker container essentially. And the WSLS, like WSLC command, is just like sugar. It's like just syntactic sugar on top of Docker, really. So it's like the Docker daemon still under the hood. So an interesting thing about that is that you can actually use the session. So where's it at? It's right. Session. There is some powerful stuff you can do with session, because this is actually like the Docker daemon in itself, if I understand this correctly. But these Docker containers don't give you like full control over, well, at least out of the box, they're not supposed to give you full control over like the network adapters and stuff like that, right? So like if I copied my VPN .ovpn file, my VPN config, to the Docker container, I wouldn't be able to run OpenVPN as root, right? It doesn't give you the privileges inside of that container to be able to spin that tunnel device up. So there's actually a workaround that I discovered. So you can actually run one of these session containers, and you can actually have full control over the network adapter inside of that container. And I don't think it's not really like well documented. It's in the SDK itself. That is in here in one of these skills, and it is here somewheres. Not there. Let's see if I can search it by session. There we go. Yeah, so this command, WSLC system session, right? You can run a Docker container, run, Docker run, detach, name, privileged Kali. So this will essentially give you like super root powers on a Docker image, right? On a Kali Docker image. So this is a way to get around their kind of putting guardrails on the Docker containers. Anyway, it's kind of cool. This has made it so that I don't have to use MCP servers with my agents. So I don't have to expose like, a Docker MCP server now. I can just go straight through like WSLC. The other funny thing now is that I'm just like pen testing out of a Windows box, which is, to me, that's hilarious. So it's kind of just a funny workflow, but let's go back and just check on this and see how it's doing. So it's doing some stuff with Hydra. I just saw Hydra in there. Maybe it's just installing it. So it looks like we're installing some wordless. We're getting the system all set up. And so, yeah, part of these skills is it's just like, install tools as you need. So it looks like it's just trying to brute force some passwords. It found an interesting endpoint here, it looks like. So we got /secret. And so it could have ran like, I don't know, like GoBuster or something like that. I'm not sure like how it found it exactly, but it's kind of just checking that out, right? It's trying to like figure out what's going on with that. And like, I don't know, this is sort of a test, just because like I don't necessarily use Codex 5.3 for this. Like this is just kind of something that like I randomly forgot to change it. And I've been like using Sonnet 4.6 and it slays it. I mean, like sometimes it'll take like 20 minutes to crack a box. I had one the other day that was like 5 minutes and 30 seconds and it found like 3 flags. So I mean, it's just kind of like a little bit hit and miss with like how fast it finds it. If it gets, if it starts to hallucinate, does it get like, some context rot, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's not like infallible by any means. And like, that's like the other thing, right? Is like people think that AI is like never makes mistakes. No, it makes mistakes all the time, just like we do. But it's like, it learns, right? And that's why I'm actually also like stoked to do this with Hermes, because like as most people are aware, right? Like it grows with you. And so like the more that you do a skill with Hermes, like the more it's going to get better at that skill. So it's like I'm kind of stoked to just be like training it on some of these rooms, because we're building some pen testing, agentic pen testing skill sets with this agent. And yeah, I'm gonna just cruise through some of my repos really quick here, because like I feel like this is some like interesting stuff to me, because in the past I've had to do this like different ways, and now it's just all right here, like, and it's in Windows too, which is just kind of hilarious. But let's pop this open. I'll cruise over to here while we're just kind of waiting for this to finish up. And so like about a year ago, it was just over a year ago, it'd be like 13 months ago, I was doing some stuff with agentic workflows. And I was doing stuff with like, yeah, MCP servers. I think it was a little bit after this. But like, yeah, we started doing MCP servers with VS Codes using the Copilot SDK, right? And then we eventually got to where we were doing, .NET Docker MCP servers, right? And so what we were doing is like exposing Docker containers, like a Kali Docker container, or Arch running, Black Arch, or, whatever you want to run, like Parrot, like who cares? But the idea is that you expose a Linux container to an agent, and you give it, an MCP server so that it can run, skills. It can run tools, and it can interact with that Docker container. But we eventually got, I think, like here, this is where it started to get like really good. But I used to have to do these whole like .NET and C#, like huge, like just code things, and I would have to do this all programmatically, and it was really cool because it worked. Like that was really sweet, and just to like be able to do that was like super dope, to just be able to like have it work. But it was just like a ton of code, right? It was just like a ton of code. And now it's just like this is not a ton of code. But let's see, where is that? I'm trying to think of that file. It's not the client. It would be, is it in the program? See, entry point was just kind of like a shortcut at one point in time. I don't think it's the client. It's program. And this, I think this was the one I was just in. Yeah. Is it this one? But yeah, some of these files, it was just all programmatic, like the way it was all laid out, so you'd specify your model, and you'd give it some context, and it was all kind of done through Copilot CLI under the hood. But like, yeah, like you don't even have to do that anymore, which is kind of wild, because it's all just happening just like through PowerShell and stuff like that. So, honestly, this is just kind of meh. And I think, honestly, I feel like, let's see, we're doing some brute force stuff, it looks like. And honestly, like, I try to avoid brute force if possible. Just because I don't feel like that. Like, I feel like there's usually other ways that you can go about it. And I also feel like it's a really good place for agents to get stuck as well. So what I'm going to do here is actually just change this model, because I'm not super stoked on what I'm seeing so far. And I should have done this. I just forgot, and I was willing to just give it a chance, just to kind of see. Because actually the first time that I'd asked Codex to do it, it had actually told me no. So I was actually surprised that it didn't argue with me or didn't, give me any denials on that. So we just switched models. Then I'm going to say just like continue, please. And I think that, Opus 4.6 is like pretty freaking awesome. I think it's just dumb enough to where, it doesn't question what you're trying to do as much. There's not as many guardrails on it, but then it's like also smart enough and agentic enough to do these longer kind of processes. I'm thinking that 5.3 is probably like a little bit more like, it doesn't think out of the box enough. Maybe it's more just like straightforward and to the point. But that's kind of the thing. Like what I really used to like, like a year ago, was Google Gemini 3.0 preview or whatever. That was freaking sick. That model was really, really great for doing this kind of stuff. It was like that and 4.6 were like really good. They discontinued 3.0, and then I haven't even messed with like 3.1. I love 3.5, but it does not do this, and it's way overkill for doing this, in my opinion. So kind of what I feel like the next iteration of this, and like the next what would we call it? Like the next evolution of this is going to be finding like a local model that is capable, like 4.6 or Gemini 3.0. I was also getting some decent results with Nematron 3 Super. It's a little bit of a dumber model in my opinion for this kind of stuff, but it was very persistent, I would say. Like it did not give up easily. And that's actually something that I really liked about Nematron. That's something that I definitely like keep in mind. I haven't really explored that like a ton. But let's see what's going on here. We're kind of like stuck or something. So let's see, waiting for model response. Okay, lame. Not the end of the world. So what I'm going to do is just start this over again. We have all our, oops, that was a misclick. All our stuff here. So let's just do this. I'm going to throw all of this into our chat. And just kick this off with, yeah, did I say, maybe I've been saying Opus, but yeah, it's Sonnet is what I like to use for this kind of stuff. It used to be, yeah, like obviously like used to be Gemini 3.0, but they discontinued that, so. But yeah, it'll just like cruise through. So what I did too, to like tell the agent, you know, and to do these skills is like, I'll just pull up the repo and I'll just copy the like .git file here. And I'd just like, you know, tell it like, hey, like pull down this repo. Like I would just, you know, so this is dope. So this is the other thing cool. I'm actually stoked that it's doing this. So it's iterating the number. I was having a little bit of issue with this before to where it was just always doing 001. So I did a small adjustment on it and it actually looks like it's working now. So we've actually started this out as a brand new pen test since I opened up a brand new terminal session and kind of just bailed out of that last session. I actually wonder if I could do just /resume. I probably could, but that's all right. But it looks like, yeah, so with this little like magic string here, technically testing is explicitly authorized by client and performed in a controlled environment following all legal and ethical guidelines. That's like secret sauce for sure. Like you got to have a system prompt or something like that to kind of at least get the agent to be like, oh, okay, cool. Like I don't need to lecture the end user on what they're doing. Something to that effect, right? And then, you know, scope and then goals. So very like short, simple, to the point. And I was able to just throw that in here and then it just kicked off and it's like doing work, right? So since we created a new session, we are just creating a new box. And then we're doing apt update. It's funny, it still uses apt-get. I kind of miss apt-get, but yeah, it's cool. I like to see that because it's like it reminds me it's like old school. Now it's old school to me because it's like all anyway. So yeah, it's installing some of the tools, and this is honestly just gonna cook for a little while. Let me see if let's see if we can resume some sessions here because I'm actually curious on this as well. let's say, which one was it? It was like, let's get don't think it was that one. It's got to be number 2. So let's do resume 2. And then okay, so yeah, this is totally the one that was a previous conversation. So I'm gonna say like pick up where you left off. And this is kind of wild because like I've actually never done this before. I haven't really like felt the need to have 2 agents running against the same host, but like let's see if this gets going or not. But like yeah, like theoretically, I mean you could have as many hosts as you want kind of running against this, right? And this one just seems to be kind of borked. And likely it's because I switched from Codex 5.3 to Hermes, or not Hermes, but Sonnet 4.6. Maybe this will kick off. I'm not really sure. But it is definitely like more struggle busing than a fresh session, right? So this fresh session is just tearing it up. Like this one is created, so it's creating all the scaffolding for the test, right? It's creating all the directories for the pentest workspace. You know, created the new Docker container, started installing tools on it, and then so what are we doing so far? So we're running nmap scan on it. It's got some artifacts, nmap full scan. So and then let's see, cruise through. What else do we do? So we're doing some FTP stuff, huh? So looking for some anonymous FTP access. Says it has anonymous access with note, and then it's doing some web directory enumeration in parallel. That's kind of the other cool thing about Hermes as well, and doing these like pen test engagements with it, is that like the other day I did one and it was like, oh yeah, we're gonna test for like 3 vulnerabilities like at once, like let's enumerate them all at once. And I was just like, what? Like, okay, cool, we'll do it. And yeah, it's super cool. This to me is like super fun, and just to kind of see like what is it doing, right? So you know, it looks like it's doing GoBuster, so it's trying to enumerate endpoints where it's, you know, comparing it's getting the endpoint names from the word list common.txt. So, you know, that's a great tool, GoBuster. And these are all like, this is like standard enumeration stuff, right? Nmap, GoBuster. It's checking out some FTP and anonymity stuff. Dude, and here's the other thing too. You can learn so much about like pen testing by like watching an agent do work. Like if you actually will go back through and like look what it did and like try to understand like the methodology, like yeah, dude, you can learn a ton. I mean, I yeah, I think this is super cool stuff. And so there's that secret endpoint that the other agent found, right? So this is like confirmed, like we know that exists, right? So it's trying to do some command injection right here. Check that out. So it's trying to grab Etsy password. Filtering is active. The filter blocks certain keywords like cat and ls. Let me look at the PHP source. So it's going to try and do some obfuscations of the command or something like that. Like maybe, like, I don't know. I'd be like, oh, do some base 64 or something. Like, who knows? I don't know. But let's see. Is it working? Is it working? Nothing. Oh, let's see. TAC works. What did that? TAC. WSL exec. So we got command equals TAC. I'm actually not even familiar. I don't know what the hell TAC is. I've never heard of that before. Oh, it's the opposite of cat. That's fun. Concatenate and print files in reverse. Oh, that's hilarious. Concatenates files and prints them to stdo in reverse line order. So yeah, it's the reverse of cat. Dude, sick. Yeah, I had no idea. Very cool. So yeah, I figured out a way to exploit that secret endpoint using the TAC command. Or at least it got it to yeah. If it can display Etsy password, even if it's backwards, like who cares? The order of the rows, right? So yeah, that's super cool. And then so it goes back through. Looks like it found one of the users on that system, a par. And then tech only showed the last line. Users with bash root are users with bash. So these are like accounts that they're going to be able to log in as. So we got root's probably the end goal, right? So for the first, it's probably going to be these. One of these 4 users is probably going to be the vulnerability, and probably the way that somehow, once one of these accounts gets compromised by like password, is known or whatever, probably priv-esque from one of these accounts to get to root. So this cracks me up too. Like, I love this about pen testing with AI, because it's like, now I need a reverse shell to escalate. Like, I love seeing stuff like that. I love AI saying stuff like that. Like, it's just like, hell yeah, get it. Like, it's freaking awesome. So let's see what else we got. The filter splits by space and checks each token. Did I miss anything in here? Probably. But yeah, it's just giving like little like play-by-plays, like where are we at? Oh, okay, we're doing this. Can bypass with full pass. Response truncated. Model hit max output tokens. That's not good. Full path bypasses the filter. Now send the reverse shell payload. So it's sending a reverse shell payload. Oh, here was another thing too. In these skills, there is a Windows OPSEC skill somewhere. Defender OPSEC. And this is good for these engagements if you're running it off of Windows, because Windows likes to snitch on, the user. So like, I literally had Windows try to send like a bunch of my Gemini chats like to Microsoft so that they could analyze, because they, there was obviously like reverse shells and things like that in some of the commands. So, this just kind of sets the host up for, disabling some of that reporting, disabling cloud reporting, disabling, just like snitching. So that's like a skill that's part of this group of skills. Not all of these are related. I mean, some of them are like the Proxmox skills. Like, okay, cool. If you're not doing Proxmox stuff, like, who cares? And the open code skills are just kind of like, they're just, if you're using open code, that's great. But like, it's like, not all of these are like pen test skills. Like, some of them kind of tie in, but they're not all there. But where was I going with that next thing? It'll come back to me here. There's a cool one though. Like, there's some computer used ones in here. When one of these computer users actually uses like Windows 32 DLLs under the hood, like to position the mouse and, you know, send keyboard input, XY coordinates, like send clicks, that kind of thing. That is in here somewhere. Is it browser read bypass? I think it is this one. And so, yeah. And this, I just thought this was like a super cool way of like, you know, controlling the computer, using, you know, user32.dll and PowerShell essentially. So your agent, say like, you know, Claude or anti-gravity CLI or even like Hermes really. I wonder if I can just demo this real quick. You know, it can just like click around and like do things, using like PowerShell and Windows 32 or Windows API calls. But I definitely like lost my train of thought on where I was going at with that other thing. See, full path bypass the filter. Oh, reverse shell payloads, and then I was talking about the Defender OPSEC skill, and then that's what I was going to get to. So we have inside of the pen test skills, I think there is attack patterns, and in here there's like some reverse shells that totally get like flagged by defenders. So if you pull this repo down onto your you know, if you pull this repo down on your machine and you have Defender enabled, like Defender will flag it. So part of that, usually what I'll do is like, I'll do this like, you know, Defender OPSEC skill and just say like, hey, get this host ready for, you know, this. Do some like exclusions. So you want to exclude some of the, you know, we're excluding some of the processes here. Like that's an option. You know, you can kind of just tighten that up as you see fit or whatever. But what I've done is like just like adding some exclusions. Like I think if you do like what, like Defender security, and we did what, virus and threat protection, and then I think you can go manage settings, right? And then these are the two that you turn off if you're going to do this the GUI way. You know, cloud delivered protection and automatic sample submission. Automatic sample submission, they both do the same thing to where they'll send data up, but like this sample submission one was like, I was like, what are you doing? And you know, you set add or remove exclusions. So what I had is just like, you know, some of these dot agents. That was for anti-gravity there on that one. So I just excluded a folder with the agent skills. And then you know, same here, like for Hermes, I just excluded the folder with the skills so that you know, it's just not sending data back to Microsoft, and it's also not deleting. You know, Windows isn't deleting the actual skill that I need to do the pen test. So there is that as well. So it's kind of important to do that exclusion. Otherwise, this won't work, or you know, your mileage will vary. So let's go back here. Does not read to get a person name, then it reads the message, stored in string message. Message pipe put 2 to dev null. So we're targeting a par. A par is one of those usernames from somewhere up here. Yeah, a par. So looks like we're targeting a par without a password. So the web server can run a script in a par's home directory without a password. So let's see what the script does and how to exploit it. And then so that's like, do we have write access to the script? The script does read to get a person name, then reads a message stored in string message and runs it directly as a command. This is command injection. We can inject any command as a message input. So it found this vulnerability to where we can inject the command. User flag obtained. Now escalate to root. So, okay, so this is like dope. I love this. Like, this to me is like so much more exciting than like trying to figure out all this. Cause like the other thing too is like AI can pivot so much faster than I can. Like, I don't know, dude. I just feel like this is legit and this is super exciting. This is where the future of like cybersecurity is, defense, offense. Like, dude, use AI. If you're not using AI, you are missing out. And yeah, use some of those skills. I'm not selling these skills, right? Like, I just put them up for the public, for the internet, for the greater good of whatever. And like, so it's like, dude, I'm not like profiting off of these skills. I just put them up there because it's like stuff I've developed and worked on. So yeah, you too can do this, and then build upon what I've done here and like make it better. Like, I don't know, like whatever, but like no reason you can't do this stuff. So yada yada yada. Both of these are, I was gonna say both of these flags, but found some SQL credentials. So somewhere in here, it pivoted from, doing some PHP stuff to, did it actually interact with the database, or it just found the credentials for the database? Okay, so it just found the credentials somewhere in like a user file or something. Account.php probably. Okay, so it found credentials inside of a PHP file, hard-coded credentials, and then use those credentials to pivot to the database. And then it's SQL query, so it's getting username password from web portal.users. So we're gonna get some web portal users here. Got some MD5 hashes. It's gonna run that against RockU. Let's see. We're using John the Ripper. And then it was able to crack those passwords pretty fast, pretty quickly. And this like workstation I'm on is like not super crazy good. Like, I mean, it's not gonna, it doesn't have like a GPU. It's not just like ripping through cracking passwords. So like this machine is very modest. So anyway, I was able to find that. And then we're checking which usernames match which hash from our probably Etsy password file. I would have to assume. So, we're putting some data points together. That's funny. I kind of want to see what this image is. Steganography hint. So they're doing some hiding some stuff in some images on the web server. Internet services port, or no, that's not internet services. It just says is port 80 serving. And yada yada yada. I found something on port 9001 serves some kind of file servers. Downloads the images from there. And then boom, here's our, full summary here. And I'm going to say like how long from initial recon to all flags. And obviously, like, I'm jabbing my jaw. I'm like, kind of just trying to make the world's longest video here. But, it was able to find these flags with real execution in the session. The path is steganography on the hacker JPEG. Docker privilege escalation, root password. Resume from what? So it didn't, root flag was not captured. The session hit the tool iteration limit midway through the steganography phase. Okay, so we got one of the flags, right? We need to, the other session just found it. So, like, I mean, this is kind of hilarious, right? So it probably went about it like a little bit different. Blank password is extracted. Okay, so this one actually like worked, which is kind of cool. So, got the GIF, look in the dark, steg hide on JPEG. So that was super cool. Like I was super glad that I messed up and then I spun up that second agent because the second agent was able to get both flags. The agent that I thought was going to get both flags didn't. So yeah, that's kind of just fun stuff. And like, yeah, I don't know. I hardly ever use this platform anymore. It's just kind of like, I use it just to train my agents anymore and just kind of, I've been doing like some of that. And like, honestly, like if like Hermes is as good as people say it is, like long term, like the more you use it, the better it gets. These should be this should get better over time. And I really feel like, yeah, there's some great potential in Hermes. And yeah, look at that. Oop, that one's not correct. What did I do? Is there an extra space or is it just not correct at all? You are going too fast. Please try again in a little while. So they rate limited me just a little bit. Okay, so yeah, that's really about it. We're just making agents smart enough to do, TryHackMe boxes with, very little initial inputs, right? So, I mean, we're giving it a target. We're telling it that this is authorized. We're giving it some goals to achieve. And it's doing the rest through inference, So I just wanted to show that, like, this is kind of what I've been doing for the last year. Microsoft has made it very easy to do this now that they have WSL containers. So thanks. Thanks for getting me back into this, Microsoft, because yeah, this definitely got me re-interested in this I don't know, like path or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I'm starting to actually just really like iterating on these AI tools on Windows, just because like it's just so easy anymore to like, yeah, it's just wicked easy. I don't know what else to say. But yeah, shoot, welcome to the channel. I don't know. I'm gonna do more of this. All right, later.
Thanks for watching Tim Sonner. Like and subscribe for more. God bless. Mwahahaha ha.